As VGK's training camp opens on Thursday, we take a look at the 63-man roster and any surprises. Stay tuned. More for this on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. You could find us wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. And we are brought to you today by Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. What time is it?
Game time.
Game time.
We got to work on that. We got to work on that still. Getting better.
Yeah, we're hi, Tony Cardasco. I see you right there. That's pretty cool. Thanks for playing the role of me today. Oh, there we go. Okay, so VGK announced its roster as well as the schedule for training camp on Tuesday. First, any surprises, any players that immediately catch your eye of the players that have been invited to camp, or any surprises of anyone perhaps not invited? It's a big roster, 36 forwards, 21 defensemen, and 6 goalies. Do you see any surprises, anything stand out to you? Because,
no.
Well, for me, I'll have to say, so I don't know if like Brendan Bowman was going to be invited prior to playing in the rookie faceoff. He had 3 goals, a goal in each game, which I thought was pretty cool, and so maybe that stood out to them. Another surprise, and I got to tell you, he's had just nothing but bad luck. And we talked a lot about Jakub Demek, injured in rookie game 1. I think it was a year ago when he was injured and missed development camp. And so there's a player they're talking about fast tracking, but he's got to stay healthy. Well, he's the perfect Golden Knight because he's always injured.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Brendan Bowman, looking at some of his like OHL stats, 71.68 games. Season before that, 72 points, 54 games. Before that, 37 points in 60 games. So something really happened in 22-23. So you wonder what type of trajectory a player like that is on. Obviously, he does his thing in the rookie camp games. Now let's see how he does it out there with some NHL players. Let's see if he draws into one of the preseason games, one of the early preseason games. And you never know where these stories come from. Sometimes people just kind of figure it out a little bit faster. The pedigree, the history for Vegas necessarily isn't there for unexpected players to arise, if you will, from the rookie camp and all the way up to being an NHL player in a short time. But you never know. You never know. Sometimes in sports, people force their way on, right?
Yeah, no, and that's good. And perhaps they get a glimpse of him against everyday NHL players, which is pretty good. I saw another name that stands out. Well, Jonas Rondbjerg, last season, 3 points, 1 goal, 18 games, just 25 years old. But, well, the clock is ticking, and he did get some minutes, again, 18 games with VGK. I don't think he showed us enough. Qualified with Denmark, however, for the 2026 Olympics. How do you see him fitting in? Will he be one of the top call-ups for the Vegas Golden Knights again? 18 games. He just couldn't finish. Like every game that I was watching, he couldn't finish around the net.
This is an important camp for Rondbjerg because his waivers eligibility is gone. So right now he opens the camp on the VGK roster, meaning if he does not make, I guess you can say it like that, the Vegas Golden Knights, he will have to be sent down to the American League and clear waivers first. Will that happen? Will someone else claim him? I don't know. I mean, we're talking 63 games, 10.63 games. So, I mean, he's been around, I guess, the net as far as scoring goes. AHL stats, not. I mean, 28 points, 54 games, 27 points, 39 games with Henderson. So I think Rondbjerg's situation is going to depend on if Tanner Pearson is going to make this team. If they have an everyday role carved out for a Brendan Brisson, situations like that. I could see a situation where Ron Bjerg at some point is, I guess, optioned, if you will, down to the American League, and then obviously he'll have to clear waivers, especially if a Tanner Pearson is going to make the Vegas Golden Knights roster.
Is his name Tanner Pearson? Is that maybe we can call him TPO instead of
TBTO?
yeah?
Is that like T intern?
It's a big. Our intern was going wild yesterday on YouTube. Is this a big camp for Tanner Pearson? Obviously, trying to make his way onto an NHL roster. So we're going to have to keep an eye on him. Um, there's a defenseman. Obviously, Why are the Golden Knights high on Daniil Cheka? Why are they high on him?
Big defenseman, big body, tough to play against, hard nosed, always in the middle of every fracas with the Henderson Silver Knights. That's the short answer, I think. If he becomes an NHL player, that's obviously another debate for another show, I guess. But he certainly is at least getting the job done with the Silver Knights. And why are the Golden Knights, high end defensemen in general? That's what the Golden Knights have going for them. That's what they've had going for them, really, under the Bruce Cassidy era, I guess you can call it. Just this defensive core that is extremely strong. So they're going to keep on churning away at Henderson, see if they can get someone. Maybe Lucas Cormier is that type who might step into an everyday role at some point. Not maybe this season, but you look at maybe down the line. A Lucas Cormier could come from this current crop of American League defensemen, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Hear me out on this. The Vegas Golden Knights, how do you evaluate players from the AHL level from Henderson when it's a turnstile in that you have players coming and going, call-ups, what have you, in and out? They move players around. I just don't know how you can honestly evaluate them every day when they're moving lines, they're switching them up. There's players again on call-ups.
It's tough. Question? No, it's tough. It's definitely not an easy thing to do. So obviously, let's just look at the stats right now and see who did what last year, who came up from the American League and at least had some type of an impact. I mean, Bjornfoot 2 games last year. Lucas Cormier just played a couple of games. He got an assist, right? Okay. Miramonov no longer with the Golden Knights, but he was obviously up and down. We'll see how things go there. Grigory Denisenko, that's, I think, where the conversation is going to stop for a second. Denisenko is basically, he's close to a point per game player in the American League. In the National League, he's a step slow. Like there's players that at least when they make the jump from the American League to the National Hockey League, there's players that at least look like they fit into a degree. They're not, the game isn't too big for them. Denisenko is not that player, unfortunately. And maybe that'll change. He's still 24, 25 years old. I don't have his birth date in front of me, but maybe Denisenko does make that jump. Mason Morelli seemed to transition pretty well. I'm not saying I would feel comfortable if he was on the everyday roster, assuming the Golden Knights were healthy necessarily, but he seemed comfortable in his role. Sheldon Rempel, actually, 9 games. He's not going to be around this year. I think he's going overseas, unfortunately, this year. Mm-hmm. But Rempel was someone who at least seemed to fit in a little bit. And then obviously, I'm not going to get too deep into Brisson. We'll talk about him in the second segment, but Brisson might be the best measuring stick for players and their comfort level going from point A to point B. And then obviously Jonas Rondbjerg played 20 games with the Golden Knights last year. And here I am saying he's probably a candidate to become a waiver, be sent on waivers and claimed to another team.
Thanks for canceling him. Goaltending. We went on the scavenger hunt yesterday with the Henderson Silver Knights, and we found Isaiah.
That was actually kind of cool. I was following along with some of that. That was actually kind of cool. I like that promo. I don't think anyone showed up, but it was a cool promo.
Oh no, it's a great no. It's a really good promo. No, they had a really good response to that. So we found Isaiah Seville, one of 6 goaltenders in camp, who actually sees playing time here in these upcoming exhibition games. Now that you have Aiden Hill, right? He'll get to play. We don't know how they're going to split it up. Ilya Samsonov, obviously. We're going to be seeing Akira Schmid. And then
You just love
Lindbaum,
saying
I
that.
still say Lindbaum is number 4. I still believe that he's made that leap. And, where does Isaiah Seville start? Because someone had a point yesterday that you're going to have Schmid there. You're going to have Lindbaum. Uh, it's going to be interesting to see where Seville fits in. And does he go up north to Tahoe?
So let's review what the Golden Knights did last season. Now, there's 6 preseason games. First couple of games, you'll see basically 1.5, maybe 2 forward lines of everyday expected VGK players, 2, maybe 3 of the everyday expected defensemen, maybe. And then obviously it's a lot of the camp invitees, the Silver Knights, the players, whether it's junior, whatever their situation is, it's basically not a lot of Golden Knights early on. 6 preseason games. Fast forward to October 3rd against the Avalanche preseason, October 5th against the Sharks preseason. Those are most likely the dress rehearsal games where of the 18 skaters, you're probably going to have 15 everyday players out there. Of the 6 defensemen, it's probably going to be 5 or 6, or even all 6 of them out there. That's what Coach Cass did last year. The first 4 games, give the up and coming players a shot, see what you have. Hopefully Hayden Hodgson doesn't run Mark Stone again like happened last year, and all heck breaks loose. But the last 2 games will be the dress rehearsals as far as where the goalies fit in, how things are going to work out. The opening game, and they'll probably split the goalies up. The opening game, I would probably pencil in Vikman and Lindbaum, and then Seville maybe somewhere in the second and or third game. Hill will probably get a period in that as well. Samsonov, same thing. And then just kind of as the camp goes on, as the cuts happen, obviously you'll start seeing more and more everyday Vegas Golden Knights players in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th games.
And so you believe like the structure that we'll see, because they're going to split them up into 3 groups. We'll talk about the scheduling here later on in the show. But you believe that we will see the lines that perhaps Cassidy starts with could be a glimpse at what we will see on opening night here in Vegas.
You'll see that so you're talking when camp opens, not the games, correct?
Yeah, when camp opens up.
Oh God, yeah. No, Cassidy is going to deploy the lines in which, in his mind, they're going to open on opening night. Now, there's 2 weeks. Obviously, a lot can change as far as starting with injuries and then performance after that, and that chemistry word we're going to hear so much of. Just be ready for it, folks.
We're going to hear chemistry on chemistry in the first presser.
412, and the over is 412 in a hook, and the over is definitely like minus 130. I'm not going to give even money on that.
Okay, we're going to have some presser props tomorrow. Can we do that? Let's do some props.
I'm going to be started. So I mean, listen, no, you're good. So what was the question?
About props or something?
No, before that.
If the lines are going to stick, that we'll see early on.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Coach Cassidy, what you see coming out of day 1 of camp, you're going to see at least that's what his mindset is of how things are going to go. You saw it last season. I think the opening line on the very first group. There's 3 groups that come out each day, at least early on. Then it gets down, and so on and so forth. But the first group, I believe, Carlson, Cotter, and Amadio were together, and they obviously opened camp together. And that was actually an okay line at times. Cotter, obviously, his situation is what it is. Hopefully, he does a lot better in New Jersey. But Coach Cassidy's going to open. I mean, Cassidy's not a lot of surprises. Not a lot of surprises. He's 14 minutes. Okay, we're done.
Coming up next, will Brendan Brisson be in the opening night VGK lineup? Stay with more after this on Locked On Golden Knights. We are brought to you today by Gametime. Gametime has a new feature, and it's called Gametime Picks. It makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out all of the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste all your time searching around for thousands and thousands of tickets. Of course, there's super deals. That's really good. It's something that is a tier of different deals that they have. We can tell you more about the app feature that actually surprised us. And I think that that is the all in deals, which we really like. You can definitely go to the priority picks, all in pricing. And what you have to do on that, I have to remind you, is that you have to toggle this feature and it shows the total up front. So there's no surprise fees at checkout. And the seat views, you get the panoramic view of where the seats will be. You'll also see on that panoramic view if Golick is going to be drinking beers and sitting right next to you. It's amazing. Lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will definitely credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets to each and every event on Gametime. You can go find your Raiders tickets there for this Sunday. Download the Gametime app today, create an account. Use the promo code LOCKDOWNNHL, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the promo code LOCKDOWNNHL, and you will get $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? 6:22.
Gametime.
And Gametime. Back on this edition of Lockdown Golden Knights. Long-winded Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Don't forget Fridays, WTF, Saturdays, sometimes the Chris Jr. show, the YouTube exclusive. Please subscribe there. So before we get into Brisson, VGK has practice times. They have different sessions at City National Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 9 a.m., 11:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. So 3 sessions for you to catch. VGK will then play at San Jose on Sunday at 5 o'clock. So that's pretty cool because
Crazy.
we were going to have here in town, if you're a fan of all the sports, we're going to have an Aces playoff game for some reason going up against the NFL. At 1 o'clock here locally, we'll have the Raiders in Carolina on Sunday. And then fans can also, outside of that window at 5 o'clock, Raider games should be over. And you can watch some hockey as well. So it's a big Sunday here in Las Vegas. One of the biggest storylines, Chris, that we're going to see heading into training camp is whether 22-year-old Brendan Brisson, soon to be 23, finally breaks through with the VGK. He played in 15 Vegas Golden Knights games a season ago, a couple of goals, 6 assists, 8 points. Brisson, the 29th pick, as we know, in the 2020 NHL draft. And he has spent most of his 3 years on the AHL level. Who presents the biggest challenge to Brendan Brisson making the club?
His contract. That's so. I mean, so first of all, Brendan Brisson, he can be sent up and back down. I don't know how many more games he has of waiver eligibility. I'm guessing it's plenty because he's only had 19 games in the National Hockey League. I think it's 19 games. 15 games, pardon me. 15 games and 8 points. October 22nd birthday for Brendan Brisson, so it's coming up. Get your birthday gifts ready. But no, Brendan Brisson's biggest challenge is the fact that the Golden Knights don't need to rush him. They haven't rushed him at all yet. If the Golden Knights do view Tanner Pearson as someone that could make this roster, then obviously Brisson can be sent down to the American League, and they can call up Brendan Brisson when the Golden Knights think he's well and ready, or when the Golden Knights need him. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be things that happen. Brisson would probably be called up by the 4th game of the season. Jonas Rondbjerg's situation is another one, obviously, because Rondbjerg, if the Golden Knights have a day one spot for him on the Vegas Golden Knights roster, that's going to make it a lot more difficult for Brendan Brisson to crack the team coming out of camp. But to answer your question, Pearson, as far as signing an additional contract, that would be the challenge for Brisson. But I think for Pearson to become a member of the Golden Knights right now, it says roster 23 of 23, so they would have to send someone down in order for that to happen. The Golden Knights roster at this moment is full, and the only players that can be moved around are Holtz and Brisson. I don't think Holtz is sent down to the American League for any reason beyond the fact that unless there's just poor performance. So can Brisson take a spot in the lineup from Holtz and push Holtz down? Can Brisson take a spot from Dorofeev? That's the other question. I think the answer is no to both of those. Knowing Coach Cassidy's pedigree, at least with his time with the Vegas Golden Knights, I don't think Cassidy is looking to fast track Brisson into this lineup. I think he'd rather have the experience of a Tanner Pearson and 640 NHL games versus Brisson 15 NHL games.
Interesting. The things that we know about Brisson so far, and again, small sample size, not a very strong player, not physical on the puck. What are his strengths? I've seen him rip a pretty wicked slap shot from the circle.
One-timer, has the ability to snipe pretty well. He did score in the NHL. I mean, he's got, it's again, small sample size, 6 assists in 15 games. So, I think maybe I'll change my answer to your question. You said, what's the biggest challenge? And the answer is Olofsson. Olofsson, I think, was the one when that signing was announced. Brisson, hit his head. He's like, what do I got to do? Because Brisson could have been, listen, if the Golden Knights are willing to go to Olofsson on that top line with Jack Eichel, don't tell me for a second that Brisson would not have been in consideration for that same role. Lefty shot, good shot from the circle. Brisson, I'd argue, might even have a greater upside than Olofsson, especially playing alongside of Jack Eichel. But obviously, Olofsson's going to be the man, and his experience with Jack Eichel as well. That's important too. So back to Brisson's strengths. Like I said, that shot from the circle saw him score a lot of goals in that spot with the Silver Knights. He's not afraid to get to the dirty areas, I guess, get to the middle of the ice. He does have the ability to move well with the puck. I've seen some lazy back checking out of him, some concerns, obviously, that make it tough to stay in a Coach Cassidy lineup. But Olofsson, I don't think, is known as a great back checker either. So, that might be an outside training camp competition to keep an eye on. Olofsson versus Brisson for a spot. Olofsson's not getting sent down. He's not getting cut or anything like that, but you're still competing for that spot on that top line, even though Coach Cassidy stated that's kind of set, but I'm not locked in anything as set yet.
And of course, McCrimmon also, I think, kind of doubled down about that. If Brisson does not make this team, could he be a good candidate to dangle at the trade deadline?
Oh, he's probably already been dangled, if I had to guess. Yeah, listen, the Golden Knights they developed some players. When you do look up and down their current lineup, there are players that have advanced through the system, or at least started a little bit lower, and not too many. Kolesar,
not many.
Brisson, Ronbjerg, defensive side, White Cloud, Haig. So at least and Korzak, obviously. So they've definitely developed some, and obviously there's some goalies in the pipeline. So Brisson certainly is the number one skating prospect for the Vegas Golden Knights, and obviously people like looking at skating prospects and seeing what's going to happen. Will he develop into an everyday 40, 50, 60 point player, maybe even a higher upside than that? Maybe. Or does he go the Peyton Krebs route, who basically held up that trade with the Buffalo Sabres, who just signed a 2-year deal worth under $3 million for his modest point output? So, sometimes trading these players does make more sense. And every day that goes by, the Eichel trade, Eichel, Tuck, Peyton Krebs, and draft pick trade makes so much more sense. So why not trade Brisson if the situation presents itself?
So are we going to see a presser with Kelly McCrimmon on Thursday, do you believe, before camp, first day of camp, I should say?
It'll probably be after the first session of skaters, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he'll be live via satellite from his office. It'll say he's in Canada.
Oh, he'll be in front of the media with the table, sitting down, taking about 6 questions, and then we'll see him at the trade deadline.
6 pre-planned White House questions.
No, stop it.
Trust
me, I'm a little salty right now, but that's not accurate.
Okay. Coming up next, can Shea Theodore reclaim his spot on the first power play line? Expectations for Theo right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. You've heard us talk an awful lot about FanDuel. Why? Because it is America's #1 sportsbook. And we do have something a little different for you. Through September the 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon, out of town, out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. And there's a lot of action on the boards, all sorts of college football, NFL, a lot going on. Just simply go to fanduel.com and check it out. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights,
Wrong one.
Tony Cardasco and Chris. You didn't like my questioning about McCrimmon, defender. Thanks for making us
trying to remain fair, trying to be fair,
fair. Come on, Garlic, wake up, man. Okay, of course, Fridays, WTF, Saturdays, pretty soon, the much anticipated Chris Times.
I think we go for it this Saturday because the season starts unofficially on Sunday with the preseason. So I think we go for it on Saturday.
Does little Chris, is he salty about anything? How's his summer been? Is he going to come out firing away? Has he stored all of his takes?
Oh, he's excited. We talk a lot about the games. He already has he keeps a journal about the season. He handwrites the results of all the games and stuff.
Oh my goodness, that's
amazing. He does the same for our house hockey league as well. Takes all the notes, writes down the goal scorers and stuff and all that. So he's very analytical when it comes to it. And I'm really curious to see now, as he knows more about the game of hockey, how he is when he's watching these games and what his personal perspectives are out there.
It's pretty cool. Maybe someday we can take a look at that peek at that journal. You can steal it and we can just see some.
Oh, why not? It'd be fun.
Okay. As we know, Shea Theodore not only lost his job on the top power play line, but he was replaced as well as the 20th best defenseman, right on that list that came out. He's got to be hating this guy. The only way Theodore gets back on PP1 is if Hanifin gets injured, and that's the only way I could see it. What are your thoughts?
I don't agree with that. I think Hanifin. I think if the regular season started today, no training camp, no nothing, just first game against the Avalanches tonight. Hanifin definitely takes that spot on the first power play unit. It would be very against the grain to have two defensemen out there. That's a thing of the past. Used to be have your two hardest shots out there on the point and, work the puck low, get it high for a one-time. Right now, obviously, you need that quarterback, a role that Theodore has done very well in, and Hanifin is expected to do very well in. But can Theodore, I know Tony just loves talking about Theodore. I know you love it, but can Theodore do enough?
I have Theo fatigue. I do.
It's funny. Theo-itis.
And don't start with baby Theo.
I'm not
I was looking at Theodore's Instagram page. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Creepy. No, but back to Theodore. Can he do enough in camp to take back the power play one quarterback position? I don't think the answer is yes. I think that'll take some time. But the Golden Knights power play has been that dreaded area of opportunity. They were, I think, 18th last season, if I'm not mistaken. And they don't need to be a top 10 power play. Like, it's nice if your special teams are both ranked in the top 10, but I believe the year the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup, I think they were just outside the top 10, like 12th or 14th or something like that. So the Golden Knights obviously need to do significantly better on the power play, especially given all the players that have left. They're going to need to really make up some goals in that department. Listen, it'd be great if Hanifin is a 55 to 60 point player, which a lot of local media is penning him to be, then that's wonderful. That's great because not the lion's share, but a lot of those points will be coming on the power play. And that means the Golden Knights will have two very solid power play units if Shea Theodore is quarterbacking the second unit. But I'm really curious to see what Theodore's demeanor is, what his mindset is. Contract year, just pushed right down the pecking order. Hanifin has been here for 30 seconds, gets a massive extension. Obviously, we know what happened with March or so on and so forth, and all the other free agents that left. So it's going to be tough. And I hope the local media starts asking questions early on about concerns about contracts and stuff like that. How do you feel coming into a contract year? Because you might get a little more of an honest answer from Theodore now than you would have maybe if Marchessault was still a member of the Vegas Golden Knights.
We are going to hear, oh my goodness, I had to put this on my list there. Is this WTW? What the Wednesday? Okay, so McCrimmon says we never negotiate these deals in the public or through the media. There's another one for you, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
as he had to come out and talk about negotiations, right? After he said, "You're not going to hear about it. We never negotiate these deals through the media, through the public." That's your guy.
No, I mean, it's. I'm very curious to, and I know some of the conversations that have taken place, but I'm real curious about like when Mark Stone and Shea Theodore, if they hang out outside of work, I guess, when they're having a brewski somewhere and, you know, talking about these things. Like, I know it's just business. That's all we hear is just business. It's part of whatever.
It's part of business. Yeah.
It's also life. It's also life, and it matters to these guys, and it does weigh on them. And, you know, I put this out there in the previous off season that Marchessault maybe was, you know, there might have been a world that was out there where Marchessault would not be a Vegas Golden Knight coming into the 24-25 season. People thought that was not necessarily the best take at the time based on the way Marchessault was talking. And obviously we saw what happened. Why does that matter? Well, Shea Theodore, contract year, the Golden Knights' biggest current UFA. That matters. And you said don't bring up baby Theo. Well, he is a father now. That does matter. And that certainly changes the way you think about things if you got to relocate your family. I mean, he doesn't know where he's going to be employed 1 year from now. That weighs on. I don't care if it's a professional athlete making millions of dollars or people making a normal salary these days. It matters. It does.
He's right now looking at those no income tax states, I think, as we speak.
Hey, why not? Why not?
Theodore, when
you got blasted for that, Tony, by the way, someone made a comment that they felt you were just trying to shake things up on that topic. And I'm like, guys, that's being negotiated wait, right now.
How would I shake that up?
They felt you were shaking. You were just looking to shake things up with that topic. I said, this is a very important topic that's being discussed at the highest levels in the NHL right now. Very important topic.
Absolutely.
Whether anything changes or not, I don't know. But it is important to talk about.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I just saw some people, I saw some people ripping me about that. But you just have to believe that it's a decisive advantage, I think, for the no income tax states. And then someone said, go back like 5 or 6 years. Okay, we said what, four of the last 5 cups have been won by no income tax states. That's important. But they go, yeah, 5 years ago. Why all of a sudden? I'll tell you why all of a sudden. Because we're seeing the expansion of the salary cap. So there's more loot to be had, and the top free agents are going to go to those markets. Don't get me started.
No, it's not getting you started, but it's an exponential increase of the salary cap, right? Your teams have $4 or $5 million more to work with, depending on how it elevates. On top of just throwing a number out there, a 20% bonus in your net take home. And if someone signs a $10 million contract, I'm not very good at math, but I feel like that's an extra $2 million over the life of the contract. If that tax kick is 20%. And I know in Vegas, it costs a little more to register your car. That might matter to me and Tony a little bit than it does to $1 million, an athlete making, an 8-figure contract.
And for one, Alex Pietrangelo, that's another house that he could buy. It's another house, full house. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you so. It's not even WTF yet. We're firing away.
I got Tony.
I'm so ready for hockey season, right? We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially the everydayers. Thanks so much for tuning in around the globe. And I have to tell you, today we will be breaking 100,000 downloads, audio downloads for the year. So we couldn't do it without all of you. We thank you so much.
I feel like the goal was half of that a while back.
Remember back in the day? Exactly. So don't forget WTF Fridays, Saturday's Chris and Chris Jr., much anticipated. For everyone tuning in, myself, Tony Cradasco, and my man, Chris Golick, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on Lockdown Golden Knights. And please, take care.